All right, let's set the scene. You're alone in a high-end Boston hotel room, waiting for a client you met online. You hear a knock. The door swings open. The guy standing there looks normal. Tall, clean-cut, well-dressed. Not some creep, not some junkie. Just a regular dude. A little awkward, maybe, but harmless, right? Yeah, wrong. Because before you can even blink, boom, he's got a gun in your face. You're tied up, helpless, watching as he cleans out your wallet, your phone, your life. He's cold, controlled, like he's done this before. And then, just like that, he's gone. No fingerprints, no evidence, no trail. And if that was just one attack, maybe people would forget. Just another Craigslist robbery. But 4 days later, another woman, another hotel room. Except this time, she never walks out. Now Boston has a killer on the loose, and when cops finally track him down, they realize this wasn't some desperate criminal or some psycho off the streets. Nope, their guy? He's a 23-year-old medical student, engaged, well-liked, on his way to becoming a doctor. So the question is, how does a guy with everything throw it all away to become one of the most infamous killers in Boston's history? Buckle up. This one's insane. All right, let's rewind. Philip Markoff was not the guy you'd expect to end up on the front page of a true crime story. Born in 1986 in Sherrill, New York, he grew up in the most average, middle-class town you can imagine. We're talking one stoplight and a gas station kind of small. And if you made a list of guys least likely to be a serial predator, Markoff would be right at the top. Straight A student? Check. Tall, blonde, and good-looking? Check. No criminal record, no history of violence? Big check. By the time he hit college, this dude was on the fast track to success. He studied at SUNY Albany, then got accepted into Boston University's School of Medicine, one of the most prestigious med schools in the country. And of course, because his life looked like something out of a Hallmark movie, he was also engaged. Her name was Megan McAllister. They met while volunteering at a hospital, and by 2009, they were deep into wedding planning. She thought she was marrying a future doctor, a life partner, the perfect guy. Turns out, she was engaged to a full-blown predator. Because behind the textbooks, behind the hospital scrubs, behind that nice guy smile, Philip Markoff was hiding something. And soon, the whole world would see exactly what. See, while Megan was out picking wedding invitations, Markoff was spending his nights trolling Craigslist, specifically the erotic services section. But not for what you'd think. Most guys looking at these ads, they're looking for a good time. Markoff? He was looking for a target. And on April 10th, 2009, he found one. Her name was Trisha Leffler, a 29-year-old escort advertising on Craigslist. They set up a meeting at the Westin Copley Place Hotel in Boston. She let him in, the door closed, and within seconds, she had a gun in her face. Before she could even react, Markoff tied her up, took her credit cards, cash, and phone, and just walked right out the door. Didn't hurt her, didn't say much, just stole what he wanted and vanished. Trisha reported the attack immediately, but there was no evidence, no witnesses, no leads. She described a tall, preppy guy, but in a city full of tall, preppy guys, that meant nothing. And Markoff? He wasn't worried. Not even a little. Because 4 days later, he did it again. But this time, it ended in murder. Real quick, if you like this story so far, go ahead and like, comment, and hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next on Talescape. All right, back to it. All right, so 4 days later, April 14th, 2009, Philip Markoff is back at it. Same method, different victim. This time, the meeting is set up with Julissa Brisman, a 25-year-old aspiring model who was using Craigslist to offer massage services. She wasn't some naive first-timer. She knew how to handle herself. She was street smart, tough, the kind of person who wouldn't just roll over if things got sketchy. And maybe that's why this one went horribly wrong. The meeting was set at the Marriott Copley Place Hotel, right in the heart of Boston. Same as before, Markoff knocks, she lets him in. But this time, it's different. There's no calm, controlled robbery, no quiet, calculated threats. Something snaps. Almost immediately, they start struggling. Markoff pulls out the gun, but Julissa fights back hard, kicking, clawing, screaming. This wasn't going to be easy like before. And maybe, for the first time, Markoff panicked. Because instead of just taking the money and running, he fires. 3 shots. Julissa drops to the ground, blood spreading across the hotel carpet. But here's the thing, Markoff still doesn't take anything. He just bolts, leaves the scene with nothing, no wallet, no jewelry, no cash. Which means this wasn't about money anymore. Something had changed, and now he's got a murder charge coming his way. The investigation he never saw coming. At first, Boston PD thought this was just another Craigslist robbery gone bad. But then, they compared it to Trisha Leffler's attack just 4 days earlier. Same city, same method, same description of the suspect. And when they pulled hotel security footage from both locations, boom, they had him. The footage showed the same guy, a tall, preppy-looking dude wearing a red hoodie and a baseball cap, walking casually into both hotels right before each attack. And then, they found out something that changed everything. Because 3 days after killing Julissa, Markoff was already planning his next attack. April 16th, just 2 days later, he reached out to another woman on Craigslist, a stripper named Cynthia Melton, and set up another meeting at a Rhode Island hotel. But this time, the cops were already watching. Cynthia got spooked and never opened the door. Markoff left empty-handed. But by now, detectives were closing in. And then came the biggest break in the case. Boston PD released the hotel surveillance images to the public. And within hours, someone recognized him. And that someone was his fiancée, Megan McAllister. This has to be a mistake. When detectives showed up at the couple's apartment on April 20th, Megan was in total denial. I mean, this was her fiancé. They were weeks away from getting married, the guy she trusted more than anyone. How could he be the Craigslist killer? But inside their apartment, cops found everything they needed. The gun, the zip ties, the stolen panties from his victims. Yeah, it turns out he had a creepy little trophy collection going on, and the red hoodie he wore in the hotel surveillance footage. Game over. Philip Markoff was arrested on the spot. His perfect life, his medical career, his upcoming wedding, all gone. And the craziest part, even after everything, Megan still didn't believe it. She stood by him, telling reporters there was no way Philip could be guilty. But by now, the whole country knew the truth. And trust me, the way this story ends, you're not ready for it. All right. So Philip Markoff is in cuffs, and the world knows him as the Craigslist Killer. But here's the thing. He wasn't acting like a guy who just got caught red-handed. Most people, when they get arrested for something this big, they panic, they start talking, they break down. Not Markoff. The unbelievable jailhouse behavior. From the moment he was locked up in Nashua Street Jail, Markoff played it completely cold. No confessions, no emotions, just nothing. Cops and prosecutors thought they had an easy case. I mean, the evidence was stacked against him. He was on camera. They found the murder weapon. His own fiancée recognized him in the footage. But Markoff refused to say a word, and when he did talk, he lied straight to Megan's face. She visited him in jail, still clinging to the idea that this was some huge mistake. And what does Markoff do? He holds her hand through the glass, looks her dead in the eyes, and says, "I didn't do this. You have to believe me." And for a little while, she actually did. But then, reality kicked in. The wedding they were supposed to have? Canceled. Her perfect future? Destroyed. And just a few weeks later, she was gone. Megan broke off the engagement and stopped visiting. And that's when Markoff really started to crack. The chilling descent. With no fiancé, no future, and no way out, Markoff started spiraling. Jail officers noticed he was acting strange, stopped eating, stopped talking, spent hours just staring at the wall. Then, in August 2009, he made his first attempt to take himself out. Tried to slice his wrists with a plastic spoon. Didn't work. So they put him on suicide watch, extra monitoring, extra precautions. But Markoff, he just waited. And a year later, on what would have been his wedding anniversary, he tried again. Only this time, he made sure it wouldn't fail. The chilling final scene, August 15th, 2010. The guards do their routine check. Everything seems normal. But a few hours later, they find Markoff on his jail cell floor, completely still. And what they saw was next-level disturbing. Because this wasn't just some last-minute decision. Markoff spent weeks planning this. Here's how he did it. He used a sharp object to cut major arteries in his ankles, legs, and neck. Then he stuffed toilet paper into his wounds to stop the bleeding from being obvious. He wrapped his head in a plastic bag to make sure he'd suffocate even if the blood loss didn't finish the job. And on the wall, Scrawled in his own blood was the name Megan. Like, this dude literally orchestrated his own ending as some kind of final goodbye to the woman who left him. And just like that, the Craigslist Killer was gone. The aftermath Boston authorities were stunned. They wanted a trial, a conviction, a moment for the victims' families to get justice. Instead, Markoff checked out early, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions. Why did he do it? Was it really about money? Or was there something darker going on in his head? To this day, there's no clear answer. Some say he was just a guy who got addicted to the thrill. Others think he was always hiding something sinister, and Craigslist was just the perfect place for him to let it out. Either way, the story of Philip Markoff is one of the craziest cases in modern crime history. A medical student with everything going for him, who threw it all away for what? A few $100 and a sick sense of control? Doesn't add up. But if there's one thing we do know, it's that evil doesn't always look like what you expect. Sometimes, it looks like the guy sitting next to you in class, or the one planning a wedding, or the medical student with a secret life. And by the time you realize it, it's already too late. That's the story. Now I want to hear what you think. Drop a comment below. Let's talk about it. And if you liked this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.